Hey people, welcome back to the Becoming TV series, where we explore the deep truths and the principles that will enable you to become everything you were created to be, to do, and have. So, the other day I talked to you about the power of attitude, and essentially we started with talking about the power of ideas, which led you to discuss about the power of attitude, because each of these things dovetail on the other, right? Your attitude essentially comprises the ideas that you have come to believe over time. So today I want to talk to you about having a new spirit, right? Having a new spirit. Now, what does that mean? Now, for the people in the Christian world, they will think it means a particular thing, right? Which is not so far from the mark. But when I talk about new spirit, I'm talking about essentially changing the way that you think, changing your ideas, and changing your attitude. Remember that I said that your life is actually a reflection of your attitude. You can't live above or beyond your attitude, right? If you want to change your perspective about something, you must first start with changing your attitude. But you can't change your attitude if you don't change your ideas. So how do you change your attitude? How do you essentially get a new spirit? I want to quickly share something which I think would help in our understanding of this. Now, most of the time I like to use stories from the Bible because they actually contain lots of principles that I think that we can relate to. Now, in this particular episode, right, the Israelites, I'm sure you remember the story. They had left Egypt and they were about to go into the promised land being Canaan. And Moses, the leader of the Israelites at that time, did something interesting. He sent out 12 spies, 12 guys, right, and told them to essentially go out there to the promised land, spy out the land, see the people that are there. What does the land look like? Is this something that we can, essentially go into and will be with tourists and that sort of thing. So the 12 guys went out, they spied out the land, and they eventually returned. They actually came back with, evidence of the great fruit and the great food and all of that was resident in Canaan. And everybody, when they saw the food, they were like, oh wow, this is delicious, this is lovely, and all of that. We can't wait to get to Canaan. But when Moses asked the spies to give their reports, that was when trouble started, right? Because 10 of the spies said that, look, guys, we may as well forget about going to Canaan. And everyone was like, why? They said the people that are there, they're so huge. They're so huge, they're like giants, and we were like grasshoppers in their sight. We were like grasshoppers. I want you to remember that statement. We were like grasshoppers in their sight. They're too big, they're too huge, they are far stronger than us, they'll defeat us. There's no point going over there. Might as well just forget it, go to some place else and look for another promised land, right? So 10 of the 12, that was their opinion, that was their attitude, right? But 2 of the spies, who were named Joshua, who eventually became the leader of the Israelites, and Caleb, had a different opinion. And what did they tell the people? They said that, look guys, forget about these 10 other jokers, right? We are well able to take over the land. We are well able. Don't be afraid. God has given us the land. We're well able to go into the land, and we can overcome, and we can go in there and take it as ours, right? So 12 guys, 10 of them had a certain attitude, 2 had another attitude. And what did God say? This is where I'm going to. He said that, separate unto me Joshua and Caleb. Why? Because these 2 have a different spirit. And that essentially, is the focus of this discussion, right? Because when we say your spirit, remember that when we talked about where am I from, we're talking about the essence of your spirit. Now, who you are is essentially a manifestation of the kind of spirit that you have, right? When we call people greedy, when we say someone is an angry person, when we say someone is a shy or timid person, when we say someone is an overbearing person, we're actually talking about the manifestation of that person's spirit, which is why we typically say this guy is an angry spirit, or has a greedy spirit, he has a hedonistic spirit, right? He has a tame spirit. We're talking about the real you. That's the essence of who you are. So whatever you display as an attitude is is a manifestation of your spirit. Now, if you're going to have a different attitude, it starts with, first of all, understanding the sort of attitude you are displaying now. What attitude do you manifest, right? How do people see you? What sort of perspective do they have of you? When I was younger, a lot of people had this perspective of me as being the quiet, shy type, because that is essentially what I was. I could hardly speak up in public. I had a very hard time talking to girls, right? I was very reserved, and that was essentially reflecting the nature of my spirit. Why? Because I believe that I wasn't the kind of person who could talk in public, or who could address a group of people, or who could even talk to girls. That is what I believe, right? And because I believe that, everything that I did, everything that I manifested was a direct product of that belief system. My attitude was a reflection of my belief. It wasn't until I understood that, look, this is not the way things are supposed to be. I can communicate, I can talk, I can teach, I can address a group of people. I have an intellect. I know what I'm saying, right? Well, when I learn the right things, I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm doing. And when I imbibe that new belief, what happened? My attitude changed. So essentially, what am I saying? If you're going to change, if you don't like your attitude, if you don't like what your spirit is manifesting, what you have to do is to change your belief system. Because everything that you manifest is essentially a product of what you believe. If you're going to change your attitude, if you're going to have a more productive attitude, if you're going to have an attitude that attracts people to you, if you're going to have an attitude that believes that they can do anything that they desire, that they imagine, then you have to change what you believe about yourself. It starts with there. So I'm going to come your way very soon, and we're going to talk about the power of the belief system. It's going to be a hot topic, very interesting, and I will see